Welcome to the Tiger's Den. Today we're going to talk about why I think Runeterra from Riot Games is actually going to break Hearthstone. So unless you've been living under a rock or a bridge for the last few years, most people are pretty aware of Hearthstone, what it is, how it plays, who plays it. It's a pretty casual friendly game. But I think that Riot Games has an edge here with Legends of Runeterra, and I think there's a reason that this game is likely to break some of the support that Hearthstone has. So, let me get into a few points, and we'll go shot for shot as to why I think this has a shot to do it. Okay, for starters, I want to say let's really put Riot head to head with Activision Blizzard. We know that Hearthstone is a huge moneymaker for Activision Blizzard, but we also know that Riot Games, which has always been interesting because they've never really had games, but we know that Riot Games, they're willing to put their, let's just say, might behind a title that they believe in. And given League of Legends' rise, given League of Legends' popularity, I don't think it's any surprise that we're seeing them enter the digital card game fray with one based on that universe already having established characters, established fan bases. I don't know specifics, but if I had to say, I would say which game is going to be more casual friendly. I would almost argue Legends of Runeterra. Now, Hearthstone is a popular game that's going to be played on tablets and phones and PCs all around the world. Blizzard has their hands in nearly every cookie jar, and Activision isn't going to go quietly into the night. But I do think that if there is someone to compete with them, it's Tencent and Riot. Now, when I say compete, for this point, we're talking about the casual player market. The casual player market for something like a digital CCG pretty much fall under a few main marketing motivations. So, firstly, are they getting bang for their buck? Now, we know that Hearthstone can casually be played for free. I did it for a very long time. But we also know that most of the revenue Activision Blizzard gets are from casual players, just throwing in a couple of bucks here or there to get some packs because they don't play as often as, say, the person logging in to do all their daily quests, play arena, etc., to get those packs. I think Legends of Runeterra really has an edge is the way that they're doing their no blind buy packs. So you're never going to be spending money on a card pack that you're unaware of. Essentially the no loot box rule. I think that's admirable for Riot to hang on to that given Tencent's involvement. And I think that's kind of what gives them an edge to casuals. If I'm a casual looking to pick up one of these digital CCGs and really get the bang for my buck, so to speak, first place I'm going to be looking is which one is going to give me what I want for playing the game rather than spending in-game cash. Now, the next thing we're going to talk about is it's point two is going to be it's a dumpster fire. Casual players don't pay attention to things like Activision Blizzard and the China controversy, and when they do, it's in the local news. Well, when's the last time we heard about Riot in the local news? Only those of us in the video game know-how, like that sphere. Only those of us that are in this bubble of consuming all the information on YouTube and through various news sources about the companies that we know, love, or support, or hate on, in the case of me and Activision. Only we are going to know about Riot's arguably toxic culture and workplace. Now, whether those points, either point, Blizzard, Activision, their China debacle, or Riot's company culture, either of those could probably be up for debate. I'm not saying which is right, which is wrong. I'm just saying if you're a casual person turned off by those things, chances are you've likely heard about Blizzard more recently and more often than you would have heard anything bad about Riot. And of course, the next thing for most casuals, to my understanding, is just being able to play the game. Like how smooth it works, how good the balance feels. a casual player picking up a game, you have one chance at a first impression with them. And so if there are large imbalances in the game, if there are massive bugs in the game, then chances are you might have already turned them away. In the case of something like Legends of Runeterra, even the basic like pre-beta weekend that they did not suffer from any real game-breaking bugs. There were a few minor glitches, but for the most part, people were extremely impressed with how great it ran. On top of that, the balance and the metas seemed diverse enough that a casual player would be able to pick this up, build a deck of their choosing, while being able to compete with other people playing in casual that have done the same thing. Now, the same actually can't be said for Hearthstone, because when I first started playing Hearthstone, when it launched, was a good example. It really was a race to those legendaries, because having a stacked deck of reliable uncommons, rares, and a couple of key legendaries really did set you apart. And it looks like Riot is breaking that mold by making it more about no dead cards, a diverse meta, and play and build the way you want to play and build. Now, of course, that's a lofty goal. I mean, that would be like saying, League of Legends is great if everyone just plays tanks. Yeah, that's not realistic. But in a card game sense where things are abstracted, I think they have a real shot at it, and I'm excited to see how it plays out. Now, the next thing I'm going to get to is just the sheer size of audience. Yes, Blizzard and Activision have their hands in most of our households. Hell, they're even on my Nintendo Switch with Diablo 3. But I don't think that they have the marketing or IP arm that Riot does. Understand that League of Legends is essentially the largest game in the world, and it's a free-to-play game. So when Riot approaches the consumers of League of Legends and says, hey, we've got League of Legends, but it's a freaking card game, there's a high chance that they're going to be able to convert a lot or some of those players to flip back and forth. You know, while you're waiting for matchmaking or your friends to get in the lobby to get that 5-on-5 ranked, yeah, you could probably slip in a game or two of Legends, and no one would be any the wiser. And I think that goes where, like, Blizzard is not attracting all of their World of Warcraft players in to play Hearthstone. The two are so fundamentally different. There's so much more lore and legends from League than there is in Hearthstone from Warcraft. And so I think when you're talking about like which company is going to be able to draw and convert their users from this platform in this game to this platform and or this game, I think, yeah, hats are going to have to go off to Riot. I mean, working in the board game industry, Riot put out a board game and converted an insane amount of their players to a board game. You're talking about something that costs like $90 or whatever, and is a physical game as opposed to an electronic one. I think they're going to have an easier time converting those dedicated League fans to a free-to-play digital card game that doesn't really require anything from them but an install. And so I think all in all, Hearthstone has been the talk of the town for a couple of years now. We've seen games like Gwent and a few others try to break into the mold. I don't think that any of them have the staying power that Hearthstone has had. And on top of that, I don't think any of them have the draw. Gwent is a great idea, but it's not an IP that's necessarily setting the world on fire. We've seen physical Light Seekers and Warhammer then also come to the digital platform with this weird, like, if you have the physical cards, you can unlock the digital cards, but you can also unlock digital cards. These are all really novel and great concepts and ideas, but above all, Hearthstone has stood the test of time because yes, Activision Blizzard, yes, World of Warcraft, and yes, it's casual friendly to an extent. But I think in all of those different areas, Riot beats Activision Blizzard. I'm not saying that Riot is bigger than Activision Blizzard. I'm saying their company might have a little more pull right now in the industry in the eye of most consumers. And if you're talking about, again, converting fans, I think Riot has the draw. So all in all, Hearthstone's not dead. Okay, there are a ton of videos and forums popping up in my feed that are like, Hearthstone's dead. Beginning of 2020, that's it. And that, I just think, is disingenuous. There's no way that Activision and Blizzard are going to let their cash cow Hearthstone go quietly into the night while Riot comes in and steals their lunch. That's just not going to happen. But in the same way that Blizzard has fumbled and struggled and fumbled and then fumbled again with Heroes of the Storm, whether it was canceling their online support for the game in terms of tournaments and organized play, whether it was their dumb nerf bat to every other character, every other change in the meta, again showing that Blizzard has a hard time balancing any game that they make. I think we've seen Blizzard's best attempt at a MOBA, and it didn't even put a dent in League. So I genuinely do believe that if anyone's going to put a dent in Hearthstone, it's going to be Riot, it's going to be Legends, and it's going to be a hell of a lot bigger than what Blizzard Activision did when Heroes of the Storm came out. So this is just one man's thoughts on Legends. I said in my introductory video for this, I'm so excited for this game. This is the first of many videos that I'm going to be producing about the game. My thoughts on it, my feelings of it. Of course, in November is their next beta event, and if we're in, which it looks like because of my League account, I very well could be, we're going to be doing some streaming of that for sure. And again, this is just one man's opinion on Legends. I am definitely psyched about it, and I'm not a Riot fanboy. League, like I said in my last video, I feel like I've outgrown MOBAs. League's just okay to me now, but that whole genre is kind of... So, yeah, I am. I'm very excited about this. I hope that the game does well, and I think if anyone has a chance to steal the crown from Hearthstone and carry the distance, it's going to be Riot's Legends, for sure. So please, if you love these kind of discussion videos, or even you just had a good time here, definitely drop us a like, hit that subscribe button, notification icon, so that when we upload more videos about Legends, you can be sure to get in on the discussion with me in the comments section below. And I hope with this video you do that too. Thank you guys so much. I've been Chris. This has been the Tiger's Den, and you guys have been great.